Hi everybody, so today I'm going to give you a brief overview of kind of an introduction to 4 different religions. So one of them is Scientology, one of them is Christian Science, one of them will be the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or the Mormons, and another will be Science of Mind. And so right off the bat, I'm just going to let you know so that you all know sort of where I'm coming from. Is I grew up in Utah, and when I was in almost 20, my late 19, early 20, I went on a mission for the Mormon Church. So I have that as background for that perspective. And but I have exposed myself to many different religions over the years, and so I understand some teachings. Some of these are new to me. Some of them I actually know something about. But I'm going to start off with the Mormons, and actually because in this case it's the oldest of the 4 what we'll call new religions. So right off the bat, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I'm going to jump into the encyclopedia here. This is a Funk and Wagnall's book. Was founded by the prophet, founded by Joseph Smith, who the Mormons consider a prophet, and he founded Mormonism in 1830. And so how this happened is he was a teenager. He was looking for his own, looking to figure out what religion he should join as he was pursuing his spirituality. He went out into a grove of trees, knelt down to pray. He had a vision, and in the vision he was told not to join any church, and that he would be the person to re-establish God's church here on earth. And so with that, he was at some point led to the golden plates. The golden plates are what he used to translate. This is an inspired translation according to Mormon belief, to translate the Book of Mormon. And so the Book of Mormon is not a replacement for the Bible. In fact, it's actually subtitled the Book of Mormon, Another Testament of Jesus Christ. And however, the Mormons do give it a little bit of precedence over the Bible or preference in the form of, because it was a direct translation that was divinely inspired off of those golden plates, and it wasn't a bunch of men getting together translating documents the way that the Bible was translated, the Mormons would consider the Book of Mormon to be a literal translation, and that the Bible, as long as it's translated correctly, they will follow it. Okay, so the Mormons have what I'm going to sort of talk about with the 4 religions, and so I'll start with the Mormons. And the Mormons have a ultimate goal for everyone to achieve salvation, and in their case, salvation would put you into what they call the celestial kingdom, and that would be where you are with God the Father. So they'll call God Heavenly Father, and to get there, you have to have a few things that you need to do here on earth, and one is you must be baptized, and another is you must go to the temple and receive what they call temple endowments. Now you have to do those. Now you should be married, and if you get married, you should also do the marriage in the temple, because that will seal you together, and that sealing, S-E-A-L-I-N-G, that sealing makes it so that you and your spouse and your kids, your family, will be together forever. So one of the things about the Mormons, they're very big into families, and they believe that families should be connected together forever. So now, if you are here on earth and you have the opportunity to hear the gospel, then you can get baptized, and at some point, if you're a worthy member of the church, you can go to the temple. And just FYI, as a side note, if you're in the Ogden, Utah area right now, this is August of 2014, and you want to visit a Mormon temple and you're not a member, you actually can go into one. They always open them up when to the public when they open a new one or remodel one. In this case, in Ogden, they remodeled the Ogden Temple. And so if you want to go on LDS.org, you might be able to get tickets. They're issuing out a limited number of tickets, but they'll let anybody, member or not, go through the temple. And then they'll actually talk to you about the rituals and the rites that they do in the temple. They're not going to give away any of their quote-unquote secrets, but they will talk to you about baptisms for the dead, and also when they do the temple endowments for people who have passed on. So this is another base truth, is the Mormons want everybody to be there, but they've also taken into consideration that if you lived on this earth and you were never able to hear the gospel, hear the fullness of the gospel, and take advantage of the opportunity to get baptized in your temple endowments, then they will make sure that that happens for you. They'll do those rituals here in the temples in your name after you've passed away. And this is why genealogy work is so important to the Mormons, because it's the genealogy that helps them find all their family members that have come before and make sure that everybody's baptized and gets their temple endowments. So their ultimate goal is for everyone to be able to receive exaltation or to be in the celestial kingdom. So that's a nice thing about the Mormons, is that they've taken into account that not everybody lives in a part of the world that they will hear the fullness of the gospel. Not everybody lived in a time in the world to hear the fullness of the gospel. So with that, they will do their genealogy work and make sure that all of their families, every member of their family from the beginning until whenever the end is, has the baptism done and has their temple endowment. Okay, so the Mormons are inclusive that way, in that they want everybody to be able to achieve exaltation. Now, the next religion that I'll talk about is, let me see, I think we'll go into Christian Science, because I believe that Mary Baker Eddy is next. I think she's a little bit before Ernest Holmes. So with Christian Science is founded by a lady named Mary Baker Eddy, and she was raised in a Puritan family, and growing up, she sort of experimented with different health types of systems, and so she was into wanting to be a healer, and I believe she was a healing practitioner at some point. And so she based Christian Science on the Bible, so the Bible is still a foundational tool, but she incorporated, let me see if I can get to the extra stuff. She wanted to make sure that people understood that prayer can really help with healing the body very specifically, but healing the spirit and the soul. And so it becomes that the acts that Jesus did that were related to healing, that everyone should be able to do them. And so in this religion, her main book, let me see if I can find it, you got to give me a second here. Her primary book that she published is called Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures. And so in 1879, she founded what is the Church of Christ Scientist. And in that foundation, she worked on finding out what is the truth behind healing. So there's some metaphysics involved, and interesting, the metaphysical aspect actually sort of transcends these different religions, because if you think about even the Mormons, the Mormons practice the laying on of hands by the men in the church. So if the men who have the priesthood, if you were ill and you wanted a blessing, they'll actually put their hands on your head and invoke the Spirit of God to bless you. So it's not just sort of somebody saying bless you, that kind of a thing. It's very serious, and its intent is to actually use the power of the priesthood so that they can call upon the power of God to heal you. And so Mary Baker Eddy was into that kind of healing. So a lot of their studies is very centered around understanding prayer and understanding the body and understanding the spirit and what's involved in ensuring that you can live a physically healthy life. Okay, and so then sort of parallel with that, we jump into the science of mind. And so the science of mind, I'll jump back into my Funk and Wagnall's dictionary here, was founded by Ernest Holmes. And what did I do? Oh, my Funk and Wagnall's is Mary Baker Eddy. All right. So Ernest Holmes. He lived from 1887 to 1960. In 1926, he wrote a book called The Science of Mind. And so we can sort of attribute the beginnings of his religion to 1926. So as we see the progression of time coming forward with these different religions. And Ernest Holmes the science of mind is actually, at least nowadays, how many of the people who are reverends or preachers of this, it to me is very metaphysical in its base. And so what we start to find out is some of the practices that are used, and I'm going to give you sort of the affirmative prayer so that you can grasp how the science of mind people perceive God. And so their prayer is a recognition is know that God is all that there is. So God is everything. It's not God is a thing. God is everything. Unification, know that you are one with God. So God is all that there is. You are one with God. So a lot of times people will actually say that I am God, because in the sense that you are one with God, then you are God. Then there is a declaration which is state your word for the circumstance that you want to manifest. Now in this case, if you've heard of the book or the movie, I think it was a movie, a documentary or something, called The Secret. The Secret actually deals a lot with this declaration. State your word for the circumstance that you want to manifest. So somebody who's actually very into that, if you ever want to hear a motivational speaker, you can tune into his website. It's Agape, A-G-A-P-E. And that is a man named Michael Beckwith, and his website is actually Agape Live, AGAPELIVE.com. And you can listen to him. But one of the things about what Ernest Holmes said is that this isn't a religion on its own. It can actually attach itself to any religion because it sort of transcends being one religion, in that if you're God, you have the power of God. You can create your world the way that you want it to be. And so we go back to that stating your word for the circumstance that you want to manifest. That would be essentially the secret. If you state what you want, you visualize what you want, and you do whatever prayer and meditation and thanksgiving and all of that that's involved in it, and they'll even end their prayers with, and so it is, because it already is. It's not what will be, what may be. in your mind, if you project that this is what it already is, what I want it to be, so we don't talk about want it to be, it is what it is, then that's practicing that. And you can actually sort of practice that in any religion. So if you ever listen to Michael Beckwith from Agape preach, he very rarely picks on any particular religion, because it's designed to inspire you to live the best life that you can live, and you can make the world, or your world, the way that you want it to be, and it is that way, and so it is. So what we start to see as a theme is all of these different religions have a goal in mind for you to be uplifted in some form. The Mormons want you to achieve the celestial kingdom. They also want you to be happy on earth, by the way. The purpose of life, according to the Mormons, is to live it happily. Mary Baker Eddy understands that health is a big part of your life, and that you can live it healthily, and prayer is a way to do that, and whatever else is involved in that Christian Science. And then the science of mind also goes along with that same thing. They invoke metaphysical types of healing. In fact, they'll have practitioners that might do things like Reiki, which is working with energy around your energy field, sort of your soul's energy, your body's energy. And so they may do healing that way. They may do laying on of hands themselves, although according to the Mormons, if it's not with the priesthood, it's not the power of God. But their goals are for you to live a more uplifted life. So some older religions might believe in how life is all about being tortured and sad and hard and struggle. So far, these three religions are not about that. Their actual goal is for you to live a happy life and live a healthy life, and sort of achieve a higher realm here, and also look forward to a higher realm after this earthly life is over. Okay, and then the final religion that I'm going to talk about, I don't know a ton about, so I'll just give you the brief overview that I can sort of glean, and that's because they seem to be really secretive about what they really want to put out, and that is Scientology. And Scientology was created by L. Ron Hubbard, and Mr. Hubbard originally was a writer and author, and he wrote lots of stories, including lots of science fiction stories. And over time, he did a lot of traveling as well. He also wanted people to live a full life, like sort of take life by the horns and live it. And so he traveled around the world, and he learned things from different religions that he ended up, according to the L. Ron Hubbard website and the Scientology website, that he ended up sort of incorporating into his overall religion. And he wrote a book called Dianetics. And let me see if I can find where Dianetics comes into play. I think I can pull it up really quick, so hold on. All right, so in 1950, according to the internet, L. Ron Hubbard and other people established the Hubbard Dianetics Research Foundation. So he around that time period, so that would be the newest of all these religions, established Scientology. And their ultimate goal is for you to have sort of freedom of the soul. Now, within the Scientology belief system, there are levels for you to achieve. Now, the websites are not clear about what are the levels, and there's also some level of being free from the worries of monetary things. So I believe that there's a certain amount of money that's involved in sort of attaining the levels. And FYI, that might be a little bit similar to the Masons. The Masons have levels or degrees within the church or within their organization, and so and your level of success may have something to do with your level within the organization. And so in Scientology there's some levels, and I'm going to just call them levels of enlightenment. And as you get to higher and higher levels, you get to know more and more, then at some point you will achieve the enlightenment to live a prosperous life here, but also your soul is eternal. And so one of the things that Dianetics deals with and Scientology deals with is your past lives. So there will be, however that all works out within their church, they'll look at your past lives plural. And so I'm going to say that there must be an understanding, I'm not able to verify this, that even when you die from here, there may be future versions of lives until possibly you reach some kind of an enlightenment. And that's similar to some of the Asian religions or the Eastern religions, because there comes a point when you can reach nirvana or enlightenment, and that may take several lifetimes to get there. So there's issues related to that in achieving enlightenment, but it can be attained for you. So all of these religions sort of bring something to the table. They're all brand new meaning the Mormons are from the mid-1800s, and then all the way up to Scientology, which is in the mid-1900s. So they're not that old. When I was on my mission with the Mormon Church, there was probably around 4 million or so members, and the last time I looked online, I believe there was around 15 million members in the Mormon Church. And so it steadily grows. The Mormons, not that this totally matters to you, but the Mormons are really big on their active members paying tithing. Tithing is 10% of your income, your gross income. And it's one of the reasons why the Mormon Church would be considered, if not it's certainly one of the most wealthy religious organizations in the world, because the active members actually do pay their tithing. In fact, recently the Mormons bought enough of the land in Florida that they actually own something like 1/8 or 1/10, or I don't think it's quite 1/3, but they own a significant portion of the state of Florida. Like, they're the largest landowner in the state of Florida, and they use it for agricultural purposes. And so the Mormons are philanthropic as well as capitalist, in the form of they create businesses. The church itself has businesses. They have a welfare program for their people, and stuff like that. So that's an aside to all of this. So when we look back, the Mormons have an ultimate goal for you to achieve what would be enlightenment, the celestial kingdom, where you become like God. Christian Science, Mary Baker Eddy, wants you to also be able to achieve the things that are written about in the Bible, and to be able to know that you can live a happy life here. So all 4 religions are about finding sort of happiness within this life. The Science of Mind and Ernest Holmes is certainly about visualizing what it is that you want your life to be and making it so, and so it is. And then Scientology is about freedom of the soul as well. So one of the reasons why these new religions can be considered sort of popular, whether or not they last, we'll see. The Mormons, by the way, they consider themselves Christian as well, like the Christian Science folks. But one of the reasons why they last is because they're really more about happiness in this life as opposed to living a tortured life. So you won't see that none of these people walking around with that little, like a whip in their back like some of the churches do for self-penitence or punishment. Because their goal here is to learn to live happily now, and then that will just continue on into the future. So if you have questions, you're certainly always welcome to ask me, and I hope this gives you a brief introduction. I also hope that you're open to learning more about all of them, and you never know, one of them might be for you, maybe not. You might look into some other things as well. But be open-minded about what it is, but find what works for you so that you can live a happy life the way that you want to live it. All right? Take care.